Hello, and thank you so much for logging on SA Talk today. If you are watching us on our YouTube channel, the Silver Fox Multimedia Studios, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching us on our Facebook page, whether it's our Silver Fox Studios or our SA Talk today, don't forget to hit like and share. If you'd like to leave any comments, please do so, but be kind in the inbox. Today, I am super duper uber excited, as usual, to have an amazing, strong, powerful woman who's out there defending the rights of the least, who have a voice, the children and the families who really need to have information, education, and resources given to them to help prevent domestic violence. She is running for a position, and Ms. Rosie Maria Gonzalez is here with me this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
And cheers.
Thank you for having
so
me.
Much.
Bexar County Court at Law number 13 is one of two courts in Bexar County that hear domestic violence cases, family violence cases. And so I'm running for that position because I believe I'm the better qualified candidate and I'm uniquely qualified to sit on that bench. I am a board certified attorney in child welfare law, and to the best of my knowledge, I'm the only board certified attorney in that area in the county. We have just a little over 50 attorneys in the state that are board certified in child welfare law. And there's just over 500 across the country. Wow. That, and I'm also published in the area of how domestic violence affects the brain development of children. That article was published in the St. Mary's Scholar Law Journal on minority issues about 3 or 4 years ago. Wow. And it talks about how children's brain development is affected when they're exposed to different levels of domestic violence.
That is something, because it's such a touching subject, and people like me who have to wear lots of waterproof mascara, when I hear these stories, it just amazes me, people like yourself who can work with these kind of cases day in and day out and be able to be a normal functioning person in society and not a ball like I would be.
And most folks don't have the experience that I bring to the bench. This is my second career. I've been an attorney in Bexar County since November of 2002. And that's after having been a clinical student and student attorney at St. Mary's for a couple of years prior to that. I came to St. Mary's Law School in the fall of 1998. And that's after having been in the area of social service provision for 11 years. I graduated from St. Mary's with a bachelor's in political science in 1987. And then the next 11 years, I did a whole list of things, jobs that included child abuse investigations. I worked with the indigent as a community assistance, emergency assistance program coordinator for Catholic Charities. I worked for communities in schools and became a gang counseling facilitator at Harlandale High School and worked exclusively with self-identified gang members and helped them acquire job skills and develop their job sites for the summer and supervise them at those locations. Yeah. I was then recruited by the Mexican American Unity Council to be a substance abuse counselor and became the program director for that program. And then was hired by Travis County in Austin to help them with their diversion programs, resiliency skills programming, and became an intensive supervision probation officer there, supervising 3 specialized caseloads: sex offenders, felony offenders, and Spanish-speaking offenders. Wow. And that was before I went back to Brownsville for about a year and a half and taught at my old high school there. And while I was there, applied to come to law school and got to enter the 1998 fall class at St. Mary's Law.
Wow, we love St. Mary's. It's just down the street from us.
Yeah, double
here.
alumni.
Woo-hoo!
Go Rattlers.
We love St. Mary's, and we love San Antonio. But as we were discussing earlier, San Antonio is at the top of the list of some very dreary charts. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in our city.
Well, unfortunately, we usually are at the top of the list for child abuse cases, reports of child abuse. And we are also at the top of the list of having the parents of those victims getting their rights terminated, which creates a huge pool of children, which leads to the silver lining where we're recognized as having the highest number of adoptions in the country.
Is that, and the abuse, you know, I understand it's just the lack of education? It's just the poverty levels? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of factors. Definitely, we see a cycle reoccurring. Many of the parents that come into the system as perpetrators of abuse were victims themselves. That trauma was never dealt with appropriately with them. So as a result of that, we see the manifestations of maladaptive behaviors, which include abusing their own children, include substance abuse, includes an inability to maintain stable employment or stable housing. And we have them just not being able to function very well in our society, in our local community, which brings them into different systems, the child abuse system, the criminal system, the homeless system. And it's a lack of education, it's a lack of trauma therapy, it's just a lack of understanding why they're behaving the way they're behaving. And I think if there was some effort to work with them to have some insight into that and correct those behaviors into more appropriate behaviors, our numbers would definitely reflect that.
And that's the thing I always say, I wish there was mental health facilities at every street corner, because it just seems that, I deal in exercise and wellness myself with my original business. And a lot of times it's not just about they can't make their exercise classes or they can't follow the nutrition plan. There's these very deep-seated, rooted issues that manifest themselves in unhealthy lifestyle behaviors.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, I'm sitting there and I'm just bawling because I'm listening to them, and they just really want someone to listen to them so that they can heal. And it just seems that we don't have enough of the mental health resources available, or people don't know about them well enough to know that there is always help out there.
Yes.
So the good thing about this month in particular, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So
Yes.
tell me about your work with that group.
Well, there's several groups in town that are at present having activities pretty much every day. You have the Battered Women's Shelter. If you go on their website, they'll have a calendar of their events. You have the Rape Crisis Center. Same thing. They have their website. Go to their event. I'm most closely affiliated with the Peace Initiative. A very good friend of mine, an advocate, Patricia Castillo, is the executive director there. And in the past, I've volunteered to either do presentations or take on cases pro bono for women, sometimes men, not very many of them, but sometimes men, who need assistance in getting a protective order or filing for divorce and getting a restraining order. Those types of issues have been things that I do on a day-to-day basis. They're having a kickoff ceremony today at noon. I was at the Madison Square Presbyterian Church last night with a group that are the Peace Builders. And so she was talking to them about the activities for the month. I've been at other activities where she's presented. We were at Our Lady of the Lake last week. There was a huge turnout. I think I did a head count, 80 students there.
Wow.
Listening to a presentation by men that are fighting domestic violence and trying to assist other men in not getting involved in that type of relationship and having different responses to stress in their life.
It is. It's very, very hard because, it just seems that the people who get into these situations didn't have a healthy pattern to follow. So that cycle there seems to be
repetitive.
Almost, right. It's just like, how do you think we can start, besides the awareness, just really making those phone calls? Who should we call if we think we see an issue with the child?
Well, with the child, there's a law that says if you have reason to believe, cause to believe that a child is being abused, we as citizens, our civic duty, our legal responsibility is to call it into the hotline and report the abuse. Just give them as much information as you can give them, and they will take care of the investigation.
And they can do that anonymously, correct?
It's all anonymous, and the callers are protected by law. So now the push is, if you're registered to vote, you have to vote. And we're at midterm elections. A lot of folks often believe that, those don't matter because the president's not running. And the truth of the matter is, it's during presidential elections that our votes go to an electoral college, and they'll determine how many votes go to the president. That's a little removed from us, but it's during midterm elections when we're electing JPs, Justices of the Peace, that will handle truancy cases and our property cases and neighbor dispute cases. Those touch us every day. You hire, you vote for judges that are at the county court at law level, like my particular bench. You will vote for judges that are at the district court level. They hear divorces. They hear family law matters. They hear the child abuse trials. They also hear malpractice cases and personal injury cases and contractual cases. All of that is at the district court level. They'll be voting for appellate judges who hear the appeals from these lower courts. They'll be voting for Texas Supreme Court and the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. So in addition, I think in San Antonio, for the first time ever or in a long time, they're going to be voting for a council seat in District 2 to replace Ivy Taylor. They'll be voting for county commissioners. So there's a long list, including from the governor's seat down. There's the comptroller, there's the agriculture commissioner. So you have a huge ballot to look at. I would just ask that if you are going to be selective on your ballot and not vote straight ticket, which I wish you would, but if you're not, it's a long ballot, and my particular bench is at the bottom of the ballot.
All right, so look at the bottom of the ballot.
County Court at Law 13.
Awesome. We have it right there up on the screen. Number 13, Rosie Gonzalez. And that's what we want is we want people who have a huge heart, a huge list of experience, and just are very competent and compassionate, because that's what San Antonio needs, I really believe, to be able to heal, because our stats are worse more often than not than the other major cities in Texas, correct?
You're correct.
And so when you go on there, you have to look for Rosie Maria. So will they have the Maria, or will they have the...
I'll tell you, I'm the only Gonzalez on the ballot.
With a Z.
And I'm the only Rosie on the ballot. So if you can remember either one, Rosie
yes.
or Gonzalez, you got me.
Yes, you have to vote for Rosie, because we want strong, empowered people sitting up there making those decisions. And this is really the election where your vote really gets to touch personally your own area, your own city, your own district, versus, like Rosie was saying, the presidential election, it gets counted off by an electoral college. And once you put a middleman in there, who knows what happens? All kinds of crazy things can happen. So you got to get out there. So right now, are we in early voting?
Early voting will start October 20th and go through October 31st, Halloween. Yay. And you can vote anywhere in the county during early voting. You can go to Crossroads Mall, you can go down to the courthouse, you can go to some of the libraries. Lions Field is a popular one. So there's a list on either the Republican Party website or the Democrat Party website. The Express News usually prints a list as well. You can go to the Bexar County Elections Administration website, and there's a list of early voting sites there as well. If you wait to vote until Election Day, which is November 4th, you'll have to vote at where you're designated for your particular precinct. So that's a little harder.
It's easier now. So get ready,
yes.
October 20th. Put it in your phone, make a calendar, a note, make alarms. Do what you have to do, because these are the voting elections that really are going to touch your neighbors, because it's 1 in 4 people that will know somebody. Tell me that stat.
1 in 4 people in our community has been, is, or will be a victim of domestic violence. What does that mean? That means that 3 out of 4 of us knows someone that has been, is, or will be a victim of domestic violence. And we can't forget that child abuse is a form of domestic violence. They just happen to be our youngest, most susceptible, most at-risk victims of domestic violence. But child abuse is indeed domestic violence.
And that's the thing is, with those kind of stats, that means put your family and the family living next to you. You probably have 8 people between the 2 houses. There you go. Somebody's getting hurt.
Yes, someone's getting hurt. And so that's why it's so important, not only for us to vote as individuals, but we need to get our families to vote, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our cousins, our nieces, our grandparents, get our neighbors to vote, and get our colleagues and work friends to vote as well. If each of us can commit to getting 10 people out to vote, we'll have a tremendous historical turnout this particular midterm cycle.
So you got to load up your 4Runner, load up your truck, load up your vehicle, and then treat everybody to pizza afterwards.
And if people need a ride to the polls during early voting or on election day, they can call my office, 210-224-1283. 210-224-1283, and we will either pick them up personally or we will make sure someone gets them to the polls to vote.
We love Rosie. Rosie will even give you a ride. And how awesome is that? Because it is so important. And the children really are the future of tomorrow. Yes. And the children who are being abused today, they're not being helped, they're not given that voice, they're not being stood up for in the courts. They grow up in fear. They grow up less able to function healthily as an adult, and then more often than not, am I right or not when I say they go on to repeat the cycle?
You're right, and here's the even sadder part. They think that's normal, and they think it's okay, and that's how life is supposed to be lived. And that's the most disheartening part of it. They don't know that there's a better way to live, that there's a better quality of life, that they can make better choices, that they can be happier. That's the saddest part of it.
It really is. So you've had just a long list of experiences helping. Who inspired you? Who has been like your biggest mentors in the field? How did all that passion get fueled?
I think I come from a set of very passionate parents. My dad, I'm first generation American on my dad's side. He was from Mexico. He was from Linares, Nuevo León, Mexico. And he was a federal customs agent for 40 years from Mexico. He was what they call aduanal. And he was always of the opinion that whatever his two kids wanted to do, he was going to do his best to make sure they had the resources to do it. My mom is a retired counselor and educator with the Brownsville Independent School District. That was her second career. She was an employee, head bookkeeper, for all practical purposes, accountant for Edelstein's Better Furniture in the Valley for 27 years before she went back to school. In her 40s, got her bachelor's and got her master's in 5 years, graduated magna cum laude, while working full time
and being a mom.
And being a mom.
You, Mom.
So
wow.
if you ask her, how she did it, she said, well, I had to be an example for my kids, that they could do anything they wanted to do if they put their mind to it. And so she's been a great mentor in that sense. As in the field, I've had so many great mentors. When I first started in CPS, I had the privilege of being supervised by Sherry Gomez. She is now the regional director at CPS, but she was a tremendous supervisor that taught me a lot of the skills that I needed to do case management with Child Protective Services. Donna Garrett was another person at the department. Those are unforgettable people. I've had mentors at the courthouse, like Peter Sakai and Richard Garcia, Barbara Nellermo, Karen Poza. These are all great judges that have really set the tone and draw the line as to what it means to be an advocate. Then you have people in the community like Patricia Castillo and Marta Pelaez. You have Diego Bernal. You have all these people in our community that are staunch advocates for social issues, and they set the tone to lead, and we support them by following it in their steps. And so anything I can ever do to support those efforts, they're mentors, but they set the tone. And it goes from the top down. And so we have to make sure we're aware of what the agenda is. And the agenda for me is always the safety and protection of children, and trying whenever possible to keep families intact and bring them back together if they're pulled apart by trauma or abuse issues.
And that's the thing it is very sad when a parent loses their parental rights. But sometimes it is necessary. I mean, sometimes parents really need to be called on their mistakes, and whether they were because they had the same mistakes happen to them and they're repeating it, or it was the first time. We really want to make sure that parents are being taught and corrected before they bring the children back in.
It's a theme of redemption. We all make mistakes.
That's right. All of us fall short.
And so, whether we're a parent, whether we're in another profession or in another capacity, I believe in redemption. And as long as you're making an effort to improve your lot and to improve your behavior and not act in a way that puts other people's lives at risk, then I got to give you credit.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's the thing. And there's programs now that do help do parental training. And there's a lot of mentorship. I think it was compadre y compadre.
We have compadres y compadres. We have Avance that offers parenting classes. The Children's Shelter has parenting classes. And there's parenting classes for different age groups of children. Some parents need assistance in learning how to raise an infant. It's the first time they've had an infant. They're first-time parents. We have parents that all of a sudden have hit that teen, tweener type of wall and behavior, the talking back, the sneaking around.
I have to say, I was that child, and my mom, God bless you.
So we have programs for parents of teens. So we have a large gamut. The easiest thing to do is call United Way. Let them know. They have a hotline. Hey, this is my particular problem. Please refer me to a local social service agency that can help me.
United Way. And that's awesome, because I know a lot of parents, when they are very exhausted from a full days of work and dealing with the, pressures of work, and then coming home, and then you have someone who, like when I was 13, had a bigger mouth than a brain. It can push those parents to the limit.
Yes.
And, that's the thing, is with substances out there and everything that
with the internet. I mean, that's a huge factor nowadays.
It's
social media.
It's just amazing that there is really help out there. So if you need help, you definitely want to pick up that phone and say, yeah, I'm really going to need to talk to somebody, because this kid is pushing.
And I've got a great staff. I've got Sharon and Rachel and Jenny at my office. And let me tell you, Rachel should have been a social worker, but she staffs the phones for me. She does some case management for me. But she'll answer that phone, and she will find help for you if you call our office and say, we're just looking for a referral for this or for that in the way of social services.
So put Rosie's number in your phone. It's 210-224-1283. And I think that's huge, because I don't know a lot of people at your level of stature in the community who would say, call my office if you need help. Call my office. I have people there who can give you referrals. I can, be that resource for you. Not only doing the amazing job you do on the bench, working with those people. You're actually going to be on the bench, because we're already calling it as it came to pass, because you are going to vote for Rosie. But that's the thing, being there, fighting for them. But before it has to come to the judicial level, make the call to Rosie's office first, so you don't end up in court.
And we're always of the position that knowledge is invaluable. It's priceless. Only if you share it with people.
That's right. So please don't forget to put it in your phone. I always have my phone with me. 210-224-1283. And that is Rosie Maria Gonzalez's office. They can be a resource there for you, as well as you have to remember Rosie Gonzalez. And there's only one Rosie.
Yes.
So there you go.
And only one Gonzalez on the ballot.
Only one Gonzalez. Yes. That is amazing. My mom's maiden name is with the Z. So her Gonzalez is with the Z.
Easy at the end.
Easy. Exactly. Oh, I love that. That's so fun. And so November 4th is going to be the big day. But October 20th, you got to start rallying your neighbors, rallying your friends, rallying your coworkers, and be like, hey, before we go to happy hour, let's stop by the local library, or let's stop by a local place.
Let's go by Crossroads Mall. We'll go vote and go shopping.
There you go. See how fun is that? Shop and celebrate, and you'll be doing so much good, because I really do believe that when we are proactive in putting people like Rosie up there on the bench making these kind of decisions, it's like we're throwing that pebble into that huge lake that there's so much need, and it'll have a ripple effect. So that 10 minutes that it'll probably take you, because everything is so automated now.
Yes, the ballot's automated. You're going to get a computer screen. You're not going to get a piece of paper.
Wow.
You're going to touch the screen to vote in every race.
In every race. So that's the thing.
You can make it easy. It'll ask you if you want a straight ticket vote, and you can just do a one touch and you're done.
And so there's options. But
Yes.
if you're definitely going and you're interviewing per candidate and you really want to make the right choice, you got to choose Rosie Gonzalez right there. And you can't miss it because she's the only Rosie. So tell me, Rosie, when you're not out there defending the people and the children and you're not in your office, what are fun things for you to do?
Well, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was just down the street at your roller rink, the Carvel. I was at a birthday party for a family. I used to be a roller rink guard in high school, so that's one of my favorite pastimes. I do ride a motorcycle, Harley Davidson.
I love that.
So this weather lately has been really great in the evening to just go out for a ride and see my community and the things that you see, the sights that you see, and the scents that you smell and what you experience. Everything from, getting chased by a pack of chihuahuas on South Flores to, watching children play on playgrounds. That motorcycle ride really is relaxing. It's kind of, a lone wolf type of ride.
Oh, how awesome.
But I enjoy that very much.
So where is going to be the celebration party when you become
We're still planning that, and so I'd invite people to go to our website at voteforrosie.com. For that news, or on our Facebook. We have 2 Facebook pages. One is my personal page, Rosie Gonzalez, or you can go to elect Rosa Maria Rosie Gonzalez for judge, and both of those will have information on where the election watching activities will be.
And that's what I love about Facebook. That's actually how I found you. And if you look on her personal page, you'll see the kind of very serious situations that Rosie's able to deal with and still smile at the end of the day because she knows that she was like Supergirl out there with the whole cape. Because that's the thing is you want to put strong people in there who are compassionate, who are competent. And Rosie is all of that plus more because that's what's going to affect your community directly.
And we want to work. One of the things we want to do when elected is work with the protective orders docket so that nothing slips through the cracks. Work with people like Peter Sakai in identifying domestic violence and divorce cases. We do want to put on the website, the court has a website, resources for victims of domestic violence. We want to put a list of attorneys available to people accused of domestic violence that have a winning record in that court. We want to put up the statistics for the court. How many cases were disposed of? How many of those were trials? How many of those were trial by the judge, by the bench trial, or how many of those were by the jury? How many convictions? How many not guilties? How many pleas? How many people are on probation? Things of that nature. We want to make sure that the public has all the information they need regarding domestic violence, and in particular, County Court at Law 13.
And I love that. And we love Rosie here. So don't forget, vote for Rosie Gonzalez. She's the only Rosie on there. And don't forget to make sure you start heading out there October 20th till the 31st is the early voting. So you need to rally your friends, make a shopping date, get out to Crossroads Mall. Maybe you stop by and have a snack or two.
I think they call it Wonderland Mall now.
Wonderland. I know it was Wonderland and then it was, I think it's all evolving, but it's right there, 410 and I-10, that big thing there. It's the mall.
And if you need to know where to go vote, we can give you that over the phone at my office as well.
And so please, that's something also is when somebody who has such a big heart, has such an important position here in the community is still offering you her phone number for her office, you got to put it in your speed dial because it is 1 in 4 people who will be affected by domestic violence. So it's not somebody on another part of the world who's being affected. It's somebody, probably your neighbor.
Or our daughters, our sons.
Or daughters or sons, right.
Sisters,
and so you really want to make sure you put that number 210-224-1283 in your speed dial. Make sure you vote for Rosie Gonzalez on November 4th if you don't make it out during early voting. But remember, early voting is the easiest voting. So it's Rosie Gonzalez with the EZ at the end. And if we don't see you out at the polls, because I'm sure you're going to be circulating everywhere, we may see you on your bike and having a beautiful day and cruising her town, San Antonio here. So please do the right thing for our citizens. And thank you so much for coming on. And we're really excited for you. And we're excited to party when you get done and celebrate. that San Antonio is going to be on the road to a healthier, happier community.
We'll
with
be working
Rosie
toward
in
that.
charge. All right, until next time, thank you so much for logging on to SA Talk today. Please don't forget, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, the Silver Fox Multimedia Studios, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching us on Facebook, whether it's our Silver Fox Studio or our SA Talk today, please hit like and share. Until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.